This hearing is going to look at the strategic partnership between the United States and India after Mumbai, and I think that part is easy. I think there's no question but that we should further expand cooperation with India across the board, particularly with respect to intelligence cooperation. I think we also, frankly, should lead in terms of economic cooperation, in terms of trade liberalization. A good way to lead would be to reduce our wasteful, expensive farm subsidies, which frankly work against the interests of consumers here in the United States, but also against the people in the developing world who compete unfairly with the farm subsidies that we impose. And we could thereby lead and maybe begin the process toward further engagement on trade liberalization and liberalization of investment. And frankly, that would help build the economies of South Asia. Frankly, if the United States could further liberalize trade all across South Asia, it would be a win-win. As economists say, where trade crosses borders, armies don't. It would be good to engage between Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India on the trade front. But I think the real question for us today is U.S.-Pakistan relations in the wake of Mumbai, right? As we discuss the India relationship, because the situation in Pakistan is increasingly dire. More political turmoil is occurring in Islamabad today. A safe haven in Swat was established last week. And the week before, we had A.Q. Khan, the chief proliferator on the planet, released. I've introduced a resolution condemning Pakistan's treatment of this proliferator, and I appreciate Ranking Member Burton's support of that resolution. But today's meeting comes as a key meeting coincides with senior Pakistani leaders, and that meeting with Washington focuses on us getting more concerted action in the tribal areas. It's nearly 8 years after 9/11, and I think for those of us that have been up to both fronts, we know that the Pakistani army continues to face east. The only country that has more artillery tubes per unit, the only country with more rocket launchers and cannons and mortars, is North Korea, other than Pakistan. And artillery is good for holding back an invading army, but not running a counterinsurgency. A new book describes a scene in which the former director of national intelligence is meeting with the Pakistani military. A senior Pakistani officer went on about how the real problem is not militants in the tribal area, but India. Quote, "The Indians will surround us and annihilate us," he is reported to have said. "The Americans won't be in Afghanistan forever, therefore we must support the Taliban." This was a senior Pakistani army officer speaking to our top intelligence official. Pakistan has not come to grips with the threat. Now, I wasn't part of that discussion. I don't know if the author got it exactly right, but from my trips to Pakistan and my discussions there with army officials, and from what I take of the psychology of the General Army Staff and the ISI, it sounds exactly like the mindset. And from what we witnessed in terms of Pakistani inaction, in terms of preparing for this counterinsurgency, it sounds like the mindset. On Mumbai, Islamabad has reluctantly admitted that the captured gunman was indeed a Pakistani national. Yet CRS reports that Pakistan may soon release findings which assert the attack was planned outside the country. Pakistan has to seriously confront the wave of extremism facing Pakistani society. And that should be a key part of our focus here today. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman.